welcome back to the podcast, everybody. This is Start the Conversation. This is a video in our client journey series. Today I have Ashley with us, one of our clients, and on our podcast, we're going to be talking about the real, the raw, and the remarkable stories of success and recovery. We hear from clinicians, we hear from clients, we hear from experts in the field. So if you want addiction knowledge and addiction motivation, this is the place to come. All right. So hit that like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the things, and let's get right into it. So, Ashley, starting us out, introduce me today. Tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Hey, Dalton. So my name is Ashley, and this is the second time I've been here at Hidden Oaks. And I guess a little bit about me is that I have two children that I love, and I work in a kitchen. I'm a sous chef by nature, by trade. So,
Okay. All right. Um, before a sous chef, a mother. So before addiction was a part of your life. Well, let's start there. When did addiction become?
I would say that I've been using and drinking on and off for probably the last 20 years. I'm 37. So I can remember being a teenager in high school before things got really deep for me in the world of addiction and drug use. And it started off as fun and partying, but even before the partying, I was just a normal kid. There was there was stuff. Everyone has family stuff, but
Normal kid. What's a normal kid?
Um, I mean, I like to read and like make forts and hide in them and read books for hours and just goofy. I was really goofy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you first got introduced to drugs and alcohol in high school?
Yeah, probably about my freshman year, some friends and I began smoking weed and we started there and before long it was older family members and cousins of my friends mostly. I'm an only child, so drinking whenever we could and it just kind of disintegrated or progressed from there. Yeah, it progressed from there, and I was disintegrating, I guess, inside. I was getting like more of a shell of a person. There was a lot of trauma in my high school years because of the situations I was in, mostly because of the drugs and drinking and partying and the people I surrounded myself with in those times.
When you first started smoking weed as a freshman, did you were you worried that it would turn into all this? Was that a thought?
No, it wasn't a thought. I think that I had submersed myself into kind of a subculture in high school where it was like, well, we just smoke weed. There were several adults around that also partook in marijuana, and it was just like, this isn't going to hurt anything. Um, but for me personally, it was anything I could get my hands on at that point. Because like I said, I was 14 years old. I'd had some stuff happen when I was younger that was a little divorce and things like that. Um, but yeah, starting smoking weed, I thought it was just fun. I thought it was just for fun. And it pretty quickly turned into something where, I don't know, you hear a lot of people say that the first time they drank or used, they felt a feeling of belonging and they felt like they were more comfortable in their skin. But I never really had that. I kind of just smoked the weed and it's like I just forgot everything. I didn't have to think about the way I talked or the way that I spoke or the way that I looked. It was just everything. I was like just a walking blank face, blank
Right.
page.
So
Yeah.
it didn't make those things easier for you, or you didn't do it because it helped you open up or this or made you more fun. You just did it
It
so you
helped
wouldn't care.
it
It
helped me shut down.
Yeah.
It helped me shut down everything and kind of just go forward.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that. When I first started drinking as a teenager, um, it was beer first, and then marijuana. But I did it. I was the opposite of you. I did it because I wanted to fit in with the cool kids. I wanted to fit in with the older kids and do what they were doing. And, a 13-year-old, 14-year-old hanging out with a bunch of 17, 18-year-olds,
Yeah.
yeah, you're going to do what the older kids do. And that's what led me down the path that I would eventually go down. And I didn't get sober till I was 21, so I didn't have too long on the journey, but I had enough for sure, and I saw where things were going. So when did you first realize the substances were becoming an issue?
I actually had a couple moments like that fairly early on. I was 18, turning 19, and I got sent to a 90-day program by the court order. And there I kind of realized like, hey, maybe I do have a problem. But with me being so young, it didn't really register as something that wouldn't just go away. I kind of thought it would just go away. And then after I had gave birth to my oldest daughter in 2009, so I was 21, the doctor prescribed painkillers. And I was like, okay, fine. Like I didn't think anything of it because I had other drugs of choice and painkillers aren't a problem because why would they be? And then I got the third refill pretty quickly. And for most of her 16 years, I was on some sort of painkiller or other medications that are supposed to help you get off of painkillers, but I was taking them illegally and on my own without a doctor. So I knew it was a problem pretty
Yeah,
quickly whenever I was spending about $100 a day just to feed my habit. Back then that was a lot of money.
yeah, yeah. That's still a
Yeah,
lot of money just to feed a habit.
yeah, it is.
Um, were you making that? Were you making that money? That was your money that you were working for that you were just.
I was waiting tables. As soon as I was able to go back to work after my daughter was born, I worked as a housekeeper at a hospital. I kept that job for a while, and then a new restaurant opened up with a big bar, and I went there and got work, and I was making hundreds a day
Yeah.
because I'd work the morning shift and the night shift, and then make that money.
All right. Well, working at the bar. Uh, how was that? Didn't help your situation any, did it?
No, it didn't help.
Did it hurt?
I didn't realize that it was hurting me because, being 21, it's like, oh, I can buy alcohol now, but I don't really like to drink because I like pills. So I knew somewhere in my mind that you can't mix the pills that I was taking and alcohol without dying. And at the time, it wasn't so much I didn't want to die. I didn't have any self preservation, I believe, is what my problem was. But because of my daughter, I knew that she needed me. So I made sure to take little precautions like that, like not drinking a lot.
Yeah.
And if I did drink, it was wine, not liquor, and all the little rules we make up to trick ourselves.
Right.
So yeah, it was not helpful.
So when did you first get into recovery?
Um, I would say that I knew about AA and the 12 steps, and I had started doing that because of different times that I was placed on probation, different legal situations that ordered me to go to these meetings. And they were good and they were nice, but I balked at them. I did like the book says. I mean, I didn't balk at the process, but I was one that was like, well, the 12 steps aren't going to, I can do those and I can do what I want.
Mm.
And I was very stubborn, maybe is the word. And I guess it was probably 2017, 16, 17 when I was still trying to do it on my own. So even after getting off of the papers, off of probation, um, I got to a point where I would try to go to these meetings and try to convince myself that this is what I needed. But I was still pretty actively using.
Right.
And as long as I wasn't drinking, I told myself that it was fine to be in AA. So that's the beginning of that.
Right. So that's the beginning. What does it look like? What has recovery looked like since then?
Since then, I would say that it got to a point where the alcohol really reared its head. Um, I had managed to detox myself at home off of opiates. Um, I was taking a prescription medication legally, but supplementing it with the same medication from the streets.
Yeah.
So that my prescription was always okay, normal, doctors didn't have any questions. And I would say probably in 2019, 2020 is when my drinking kind of what I like to call ramped up. And whenever that happened, it became a situation where my ex-husband and I were just at each other's throats. I was full of anger and resentment, and whatever the case may be, I felt like he wasn't providing what I needed, and the alcohol wasn't either. But this was a way of me kind of shoving it in his face of, well, you don't need me around, so I'm going to sit over here and get wasted.
Oh.
And you can do everything on your own, so I'll just be over here.
Yeah.
Many regrets for the ways that my children saw me behave and the things that I've done and did. Recovery would have started probably in 2024, so last year. In April, I was placed on probation again for my first DUI. And when that happened, I was gung ho about getting clean.
Mm-hmm.
But it was to avoid losing my marriage and to satisfy the courts. It wasn't for me.
It wasn't.
No. And I did. I had a couple months under my belt, and then I relapsed, and I very nearly died. The record service was very surprised to understand that that was my vehicle. When I came to get my items out of it, they said they thought it was a fatality.
Wow.
So I did that for a while until I got kind of stagnant in recovery. And I ended up at Hidden Oaks. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about how I did that or how that came about.
It's up to you.
Yeah. So by October of 2024, my ex-husband and I split up, and I had a sponsor, and I was working the steps, and I was doing pretty good, I thought. But I ended up talking to my sponsor, and she felt like I was getting really stagnant where I was. I wasn't moving forward with things. So she suggested a facility in Dallas. They wouldn't take me because of the medication I was on. So I ended up getting going to a detox at a hospital. And I did a 1 week medical detox, and I met nurse.
Yeah.
Okay, I met Nurse Brenda there.
Okay.
And she was like a little light, and she was really like, I don't want to say proud of me, but she seemed really interested in me.
Yeah.
And she seemed like she really cared. And when I told her that the facility that I was going to go to would not take me even though I detoxed, she said, well, here's a list of places. And it had like 3 or 4 places, and I just started calling. And I called Hidden Oaks, and Alice, I believe, was who I spoke to. And everyone worked with me. They were working with me because I said, I will do 2 weeks and then I will leave. I'm just doing this as a reset. I'm already sober. I don't need anything else but 2 weeks.
I remember.
And I came in, and it was great. It was nice. It was really good. Met some good people. I loved it. And I left after 2 weeks against, not against medical advice, but against therapist advice.
Yeah.
And I got home, and I held on for a couple more months. And then when the final decree of divorce was served, I drank pretty quickly. It wasn't even a choice. And I know I had relapsed mentally prior to picking up.
Yeah.
But I did. And Laura found out pretty immediately by accident. Can I tell that story on the podcast? Okay. So I'm in the bar with the guy I was seeing, and my cell phone rang, and he handed it to me and said, it's Laura. And in my head, I have a friend named Laura May. I'm going to call her May May because we live in East Texas. And I was like, hey, girl, what's up? What are you doing? And she's like, you know who you're talking to? Oh, I was like, it was a joke. I didn't text you about shots. I didn't say anything about shots of whiskey. I didn't do that. And she was like, call me in the morning. And I didn't. I didn't. That was a heavy phone to pick up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I spent the next few months just spiraling downward. I picked up taking Adderall pills that will keep me up, and then drinking throughout the night and Xanax, a lot of Xanax. And I landed here on September 2nd. I came back to Hidden Oaks because I didn't know where else to go. Some people in my life had given me an ultimatum of going to a program and getting clean and doing all of this stuff, or else whatever their stipulations were.
Right.
Yeah. So I came back.
And you've been here
How many days?
pretty close to a month, huh?
More than a month.
More than a month?
Yeah, from
Oh,
the
yeah.
second to the second is so maybe 15 days.
15.
45.
15 plus.
extra
Yeah.
days. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yes, 45 total.
All right, I want to go back. I'm gonna go back for a minute. You said before you relapsed this last time, you knew you had relapsed in your mind.
Mhm.
Can you tell our listeners what you mean by that? What that process
Sure,
is?
sure. For me, before I actually pick up using a drink or a drug, I can already feel that it's coming. Sometimes people say that that looks, clear hindsight, 2020. But when I was doing it, I knew. Um, I can remember being in Vinny's IOP class and having that feeling of this isn't helping me because I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to let it help me. I wasn't, going to meetings because I had gotten a job and I'm too busy to go to a meeting. I was seeing a guy that wasn't good for me, and he didn't like me going to AA because there were other men there. And I said, well, that's valid. So little decisions that I made, I had already made the decision up here that I was going to fail at sobriety and fail at recovery. And I was going to do what was comfortable and normal to me, which is take something to make it all go away. And it was scarier this time around for me. I came into Hidden Oaks, and I can remember like the first week, maybe I was still detoxing, but maybe it was a few days into the detox. And Alice had a group, so it was a Sunday. And I just looked at her and I just said, what do you do? What do you say to someone that doesn't want to live? Someone that wants to die?
Mm.
And poor Alice, she's not a therapist, and she said that. I'm not a therapist, but she was I could see in her eyes that that hurt. And it hurt to say it. Um, but yeah, that's why this last time was so scary to go back out, because mentally I was done. I felt like I had nothing left to lose, and that I didn't count, my life didn't count as something that was worth living for. So that was hard.
Yeah. And I know that's not easy for you to talk about.
Yeah,
Brings up some emotions. There's too much hoopla, mm, there's too many empty words, there's too many empty discussions in rehab, in treatment, in recovery that people they're just talking. They're not being real.
They stick to a script.
Yeah.
I don't like that. And I feel like that's here, just from the little taste I had in November. I knew somewhere in my mind that if I was going to regain that self preservation and regain any semblance of a spirit, that I would only find it here. And I knew that. Like, I knew that because, like I said, I went to a treatment center when I was younger. I'd been in and out of the rooms. And in November, it was enough time here in November to know that I didn't have any other choice but to come here because of the type of recovery that's offered here. And I'm not disappointed. So that's good.
Yeah.
It's a positive.
And some tears were shed earlier in my group about the spiritual journey that you've been on. I remember the first time you were here, you were totally closed and shut off to any Jesus, higher power, anything. Um, and you're opening yourself up, and you're being vulnerable now. You're letting yourself be vulnerable, and you're seeking after that higher power. You're seeking after Jesus.
100%.
How has that been a factor in your recovery?
The walk of, everyone in recovery, or not everyone, I guess I shouldn't say, a lot of people do the 12 steps, and it's very, a higher power of your understanding and spirituality. And I'm lucky that this place had that, because if I hadn't had that little leeway of not God, not Jesus, not the Bible, I probably wouldn't have heard anything. Um, I think that the spirituality part, mind, body, spirit, I got to work on the body. We'll get to that one. That's the last one. I'm going to start working out for my health. But the spirituality part, it's like I was saying in the group, with my father being who he is and what I've seen, it's one of those things I can't deny. And with the conversation that we had, that brought the tears, I was tearing up there at the end because I realized that God never left. My connection with my higher power, with God, never went anywhere. It's almost like I turned the volume down.
Yeah.
And it was playing real faintly and I could hear it, but I was louder and the world was louder.
Mm-hmm.
So being here and really feeling like I have a better grasp on recovery and on the type of journey it is, and that it's not something to take lightly. When I'm able to see that in my mind, and then I can connect the spiritual journey or the walk of Christian faith or whatever is best for each person, for me, that's what I call it. That correlation of the two, it's like I can put both, and I just have to work with this in order for this to be healthy. Spirituality is it's key in recovery. And if I want this so bad, I can't leave that key out.
Right.
So that's why. And that's kind of where it's come from.
Yeah, that's why we harp on.
Yeah.
Why we're built on mind, body, spirit. You can't leave any one of them undone. You got to be working on all of them, because it's not just you, it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Try to leave that spiritual piece out of it. And we're leaving ourselves open to having the same battle in the future.
100%. 100%.
So last thing, and we'll get out of here, is there's somebody watching this show right now that is struggling with addiction. They're struggling with taking those first steps of reaching out. What would you say to that person?
I would tell them that no matter how dark you feel it is, if you find the right people and you find the right path by picking up the phone, or typing into a chat online, or whatever it is that you can do to get connected with anyone, to save your life. I would tell them that they need to just send that one message. I don't know how other treatment centers operate. I can't speak to that. But I can 100% say that if you're on the Hidden Oaks podcast or website, you can click and get in touch, and maybe Alice or Laura or Larson will answer the phone and just be like, I will connect you with the right person to get you here. Don't be afraid to take a chance on living life the way thriving, not surviving.
Amen.
Amen. Good words of encouragement. As Ashley said, you can go to resolutionshealthcare.com. There'll be a link below this video that'll take you there. You can call us at 469-614-8407. We will answer the phones. If we don't, we will call you back as soon as we can, because recovery is something that you don't really have the time to wait around and push it off till tomorrow. A lot of times there's been a lot of people say, yeah, I'll get sober next week. Well, next week doesn't come for some folks. Um, so reach out. If you're struggling, reach out. We're here to help. Remember, smash that subscribe, like, comment, share, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out.
Okay, so
Good
hey, so
job.